Oh, look at my hair. It is wild. So a lot of my students in my one-on-one sessions have been asking what to do when you get stuck with songwriting. And you know, songwriting can be a little tricky. No matter how experienced you are, I feel that everyone struggles at some point with songwriting. And I thought I'd do a little video and just kind of give you a few of my tips to help you if you're struggling with songwriting and you feel stuck and you can't get past this move over this hump, this plateau. So I really hope this helps some of you. And if you're new here and you don't know me, hi, my name's Fabian Holland. I'm a guitarist, singer and songwriter, and I've been writing songs for almost 30 years. And over that time, I've developed a few tips and ideas about how to overcome songwriter's block. So tip number one is be ready for your songwriting session. So many people I talk to have a very spontaneous way of songwriting. So that means that they don't have an actual songwriting session booked in their diary. They just kind of leave it open, and whenever the inspiration comes, then that's when they write the song. And that's all well and good if you have lots of inspiration coming to you all the time. But I think a lot of us don't, and I definitely don't, and I have to have my songwriting sessions booked in my diary, because also I don't have a whole lot of time to be just writing songs whenever the inspiration comes, you know. So that's why I have my songwriting sessions booked in. And what I mean by be ready for that session is don't just come to the songwriting session with a blank slate. That's so hard. That's so hard. If you have a blank piece of paper or whatever you're using to write your song down, it's so hard to just come up with something there on the spot. What I do is I always carry something with me, whether it's like notes on my phone or a little recording on my phone, or just a little notepad and pen. I always have little notepads and pens just to jot down ideas throughout the day, you know. I'm kind of always in this mode of thinking about little ideas and little sparks, you know, that could be something. Most of them don't end up being anything, but some of them do, you know. And I always have my list of things, potential kind of song ideas, just little things, recordings, little notes, stuff like this, for my next songwriting session. So when I sit myself down, I have these already kind of ideas ready to go, and that helps so much to kind of get the ball rolling. So before I even sit myself down in my songwriting session, there's 3 things I like to have before I even start writing the song. Number 1 is the subject of the song. So this can be just the idea of what is the song gonna be about, you know. This doesn't have to be all set in stone, you know, just a rough idea. It can be something really mundane and really small. It doesn't have to be anything, you know, massive or huge. Just any kind of idea of what is the subject of the song. Number 2 is the title or the potential titles of the song. So I could have a few sort of potential title ideas. And the reason for this is that when I'm writing, I always have kind of the title in mind with every lyric that I write, and that really helps to make sure that it makes sense with the title, you know. So this kind of can help to not kind of stray too much from the topic of the song. And number 3 is the feeling of the song, and this is quite important, and it's basically everything musical. So what is the tempo going to be like? What is the key going to be like? What are the chords I'm going to use? What are the notes that I'm going to use? And it doesn't have to be kind of set in stone. You know, this can just be a rough idea, and this can really help with kind of getting that feeling of the song, you know. Getting how do you want it to make you feel when you play the song? How do you want it to make other people feel when you play the song, you know? Things like this. This can really help. And as I say, it doesn't have to be set in stone. It can just be like an idea, but you know, it really helps to kind of have this think about this a little bit before you sit down and write. Tip number 2 is limit your options. Too many options can paralyze us. I know this from personal experience, and a lot of other people that I've spoken to also tell me this, that if you have too many options to choose from, then you'll just end up just not choosing anything, or just going through each option and not really deciding what to go with. We think about it too much, about whether that's the right option to go down. But if you limit your options, then that can be a lot easier to decide which chords to choose from, which notes to choose, things like this. It can help these musical decisions. So something I like to do is just pick 4, 3, even 2 chords, to start from, and just go from there and see how that feels. And it doesn't mean that you're limited for the whole song on these chords or notes, but it's just a good way to start, start the ball rolling. I feel a lot of the time when we get stuck, it's just about getting that ball rolling and getting that inspiration going. And once it's moving, then it's a lot easier to kind of keep that rolling. Also, on that point, I find a lot of the time by limiting what I use musically, it helps me be more creative with what I've got. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of the time I like to have such a simple setup. When I record, I like to use just one mic, no edits, just super simple. And I find doing that, it helps me be more creative with the limited options that I have. And tip number 3 is create a blueprint for your song. So when I'm writing, I actually like to plan the song out, so create a blueprint of the song before I've actually written a lyric. So an example of this is once I have the rough kind of melody and chords planned out in, let's say, the verse and the chorus, then I might say, okay, it's going to start with the verse 1, and it's going to be a chorus, and then maybe there's a little interlude, and then we're going to go to verse 2, and then again it's going to be a chorus and maybe another interlude, and maybe there's a bridge. So I'd roughly map out the blueprint of the song, right? And then I would actually say, once I have the subject, because I know the subject and I know the title, and I have a rough idea about what it's going to be about, then I can write in, okay, what's the story of this song? What's the verse 1 is what's the rough kind of story I'm gonna talk about? And this doesn't have to be the lyrics. This is just kind of me brainstorming and just writing down, what is the verse 1 gonna be about? What do I want to say here? What do I roughly want to say in verse 2? And maybe a lot of my songs have stories, actual stories, and by the end, I want this to happen, So I roughly plan out the story before I've even written a lyric. So I find this really helps with knowing where to go. This kind of gives you a map of where it's going to go with lyrically, and helps you come up with kind of the next step. Otherwise, you're just randomly walking in a jungle and you don't know where to go. This kind of gives you a footpath. Okay, we're going to roughly head this way. And then you can kind of put in the details. If you were to build a house, you wouldn't start building before the blueprint, right? Before you've actually know roughly, okay, where's everything kind of gonna go. You don't have to, and then you put in the details. You don't have to put in every little detail like in a blueprint. You don't have to, but you have to know where roughly the walls are gonna go, and the doors. Stuff like this, and then you can start putting in the details of the actual lyrics. So last thing I would say is just make sure you have time for your songwriting sessions. Try and put them in the diary. Actually put aside the time and don't let it just be spontaneous. I put in all my songwriting sessions in the diary, and that way I know that I'm making sure that I sit myself down for my songwriting sessions. It's so important. So I really hope that this video helped you in some way. Please let me know in the comments below if you also have some songwriting tips. Also, I'd like to invite you to join my community of other singer-songwriters. The link for that is in the description down below. Other than that, have a great day, and I'll see you again in another video very soon. Bye.